Well, in a week where Blackburn Rovers have been making the news, it's the news that have been banned from them. Welcome back to another 20 minutes of Blackburn Rovers chat. It's where Uncle Jax walks, and this week we are sticking up for Elliot Jackson and all those at the Lancashire Telegraph. Just what has gone on there? Has a club ever banned the local media before? We'll get the panel's view on all of that. El Romero says, it's like you wake up every morning and say, how can we become more detestable than the last? You make supporting this club a chore, and it is not supposed to be that way. Interested in your thoughts as well. We've got Mark and Tom back with us. Also to chew over briefly the Charlton game, as of course midweek fixtures enter the Rovers calendar. How are you all doing? Hope you are all well. Plus, we're looking at, has the fixture calendar been a little bit unfair to Rovers in that midweek one? Should 8th place get playoffs? And we're starting this week the A to Z of Blackburn Rovers. If we had an encyclopedia for Rovers and had one page per letter, who would you stick in there for A? Get your thoughts on this at the end. AI came up with this fella as being the single person to stick on the page for Rovers. Let me get your thoughts as whether you can think of anything better than Keith Andrews at the end. How are you, Mark? Are you resigned to that Charlton defeat, aren't you? That Rovers just don't go and beat promoted teams.
Yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't. Well, to be honest, I mean, Tom will know. I'm never quite the most optimistic fan anyway. Going into games, I'll leave that to Tom. He's normally the most optimistic. But yeah, when we seem to play these promoted teams when they come out of League One, especially away from home, I just thought it had a defeat written all over it yesterday. I didn't think we'd get beat as heavily as we did. 3-0. Just a poor result, but it just totally summed up Rovers' week.
We'll come back to the decision then, shall we? Let's have a look at it then. Craig says, Tom, it's a pathetic week and ill-advised decision to make. Your dictatorial ways disgust me. The Lancashire Telegraph has every right to report, question and champion our football club. It's absolutely disgusting from Rovers. Where do you sit on this, Tom?
No, I completely agree. I don't understand how a journalist doing his job has now lost all the privileges that were given to him from Blackburn in the first place. I mean, as far as I'm aware, there's been a really good working relationship between the LT and Blackburn. They've allowed access to training sessions. They've been abroad with them in pre-season. I think Elliot Jackson's done a fantastic job reporting for Blackburn. I'm not quite sure what this social media post is about or what's being said. It's all quite vague. I think it's wrong that Rovers are questioning his professionalism. And it's nice to see that the Lancashire Telegraph are sticking by Elliot Jackson and defending him, because I don't quite know what's going on there. And it's just another excuse and another, dagger that Blackburn continue to give to the fans, because there's always some sort of negativity going around the club. The moment we start to get anything like any sort of momentum or positivity, there's something that's happened like this where you're almost thinking like, what is going on? After the result with Ipswich Town happening last week, you wanted to keep your heads down and then try and focus on the positivity. And I thought it might galvanise the team. I know Mark was called it and he said we were probably going to lose this game, but I thought it could go one or two ways, and I really thought it might galvanise the team. But the performance yesterday was shocking, really. I mean, Toth was the only one really who came out of it with any real credibility, because he put him some good saves. But that in its own right, plus this happening, the night before a big game, I don't know what they're doing, and they're alienating the fans even further by trying to make out as though there's some transparency by talking to us and letting us know what's going on. When the reality is, it couldn't be further away. And you could really feel Ishmael's pain yesterday as well after the game interview. Mark and I have been talking before. We don't really know what's going on, and we're becoming a bit of an embarrassment at the moment, and a bit of a laughing stock in the EFL.
What's your thoughts, Mark? I mean, Blackburn did try and justify it and say, look, we've been unhappy with some of the personal comments that have been made and misrepresentation of what's going on at the club. I mean, there's just smacks of trying to shut down a voice. I mean, the press are all for free speech, aren't we, in this country?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think Tom nailed it really with what he said, and I think in obviously on the back of the week that we've had, I think we just wanted to concentrate on football. Let's just get back to talking about the football. So again, we got the decision about the Ipswich game, and so the timing of this was like, and again, Friday evening, night before a game. Yeah, you just don't know what's going on at the club, and I really feel sorry for Elliot Jackson and the Lancashire Telegraph, because again, it's part of journalism, isn't it? I think he's never overstepped the mark. I think, I mean, you see the amount of people that have come out for support with him over the weekend. Some top journalists as well around the country, and he's I think he's right to criticise when needed. I think there's been a lot going on at Rovers that needs reporting. But I think it just sums Rovers up. I've supported Rovers for a long time, and it's just not the football club that it once was. And I think this is just another example, just to show how far the club is disconnected with its fan base. And it's just really poor, and it doesn't look good, does it? It doesn't look good on any of the local businesses. I don't think it looks good on your sponsors, things like that. It could come back to bite them in a big way, but it's just so poor again.
Yeah. Okay. Let's stick to football then. 2 home games this week to come. We're recording this before the Swansea game and, of course, before the Stoke game this weekend. So, chance to put some points on the board. Obviously, you'll be watching this. The Charlton game is probably the last thing on your mind. But let's just review very quickly, Tom, some of the things coming out of that. Tommy says, an utterly disgraceful display, sloppy, embarrassing. Showed absolutely nothing all game. Should have been 6-0 without Toth. It was relegation quality today. Thoughts?
Yeah, it was a very poor performance. They went at it from the word go, really, and I think, like we were just speaking about a second ago, I think a lot of it has to do with what's happened midweek. It must have been really disheartening for the players to put in that shift last weekend and then have it all taken away and having to replay the game. Toth was the only player who came out of that with a good performance. The passes were sloppy. The runs in behind weren't happening. There was no real urgency there. You could see the frustration from Ismail. It just wasn't working. It was one of those. I mean, the goals Charlton scored were good goals, but they were like 30 yards out. And on another day, there'd have been a deflection. It wouldn't have gone in. I just think it was all written in the stars that it wasn't going to be our week this week, and we've got to just kind of dust ourselves off and try and regalvanise and go again. I know it's a bit of a cliche. That's what the kind of players will come out and say. I know Cantwell's apologised for the performance, but yeah, it can't have been easy this week for them. They are human beings at the end of the day, and it's a long way down to London, and just all this going on. And I think that's where the club have got to take responsibility and look at the impact that it's having on performance like that, because we haven't been bad at all this season. I know we've lost a few games, but the performances, when it all clicks, we're a really good side, and that's why it's so frustrating with the Ipswich Town result, because we were playing really well, and no one could have argued had Blackburn been given the 3 points. No one would have argued that, I don't think, apart from Ipswich Town fans. Everyone can argue now, but what Blackburn have kind of been wronged here, and it doesn't feel right that this has happened. So I'm not surprised the result happened in the end yesterday, because the players must have been quite disheartened and a bit disillusioned with what was going on.
Unrecognisable from Ipswich game though, Mark. I mean, where's this inconsistency come from? I know it's away from home, this one, and just a long travel, as Tom said. But yeah, was it individual players just not being at it? Is that what it's down to, or system failure?
No, I think it's the players, and I think, and again, I think we may have touched on this a week or two ago, and I think when you've put a new squad completely together, and again, a lot of the experience that we've talked about previously that has gone out, and the inexperience that has come into the Championship, I think this season was always going to be a season where you are going to see a lot of that inconsistency, especially away from home. I know we've had a couple of decent results on the road, But I just think, with the players, I think it is just going to be one of those seasons where the inconsistency is going to be there. And I think we're just going to be very, very much up and down. And I think the disappointing thing with yesterday as well, I mean, I know obviously with 3-0, it looks like a bit of a hammering, but I'd love the Charlton fans to obviously get their views on it. But I don't think Charlton were either that good. I think they were very, very average at best. So just again, really disappointing. Again, it just kind of sums the week up. But we've got 2 home games now coming up. So, like I said, a bit of a chance to put some points on the board, and hopefully we do that, because obviously we're going into October now, 2 months already into the season. We really need to start putting some points on that board and climbing the table, really.
Still to come then on this week's episode. Who are you going to put in your Blackburn Rovers encyclopedia? On the very first page, letter A, and should 8th place get promoted? The EFL say, it should be in the reckoning. Before that, though, the fixtures computer has thrown up obviously all the midweek fixtures. There are 9, Tom, midweek games that we've got in this calendar. 4 teams which you have to go and play twice. We think it's been a little bit biased to Blackburn. Let's have a look at them. So the 4 teams in particular that you have to go to: Swansea home and away, Bristol City home and away, Oxford United home and away, Sheffield United home and away, plus another Boxing Day one thrown in, I think as well. I mean, there's some big journeys in there. I know you can't play all the local teams at home there, but I think Blackburn, when we looked at it in terms of away travel, or the third, have to travel the third highest amount of miles in these nine fixtures. Given your location in the country, do you think more needs to be done, to be looked at? I mean, we've got quite a lot of teams in the Midlands, Coventry's, Birmingham, West Brom's, and yet, you've got 3 very big long trips there.
I think it's just one of those, really, Mark, in all honesty. I guess you can't really do anything about that. I don't quite know how it's all generated at the start of the season, the fixture list. I haven't really got an issue with the midweek travels like that. Obviously, I can't go to a lot of these games, but for the fans that go, I can totally see that being an issue. It's when they move games around that we discussed before. That's what I don't like, when they move games for Sky, and that could be a massive impact on people. But we haven't actually played a game midweek for a while because of being getting knocked out of the cup. So we've actually been quite fresh, really, midweek recently. But I guess how it works with the fixture list, I guess you've got to just kind of suck it up, really. They're on a good wage. They're getting paid enough money. I guess it's part and parcel of football, really. So I'd back my left arm off to go and play for Rovers. So I guess it's what you got to cope with, isn't it?
Mark, the EFL announced this week that they're starting to look at ways to expand the playoffs to include teams 7 and 8. They're much like they do in the conference. Where you'd have a playoff between 5th and 7th and 5th and 8th or whatever it is. Is it good for Rovers, that potential announcement?
Oh no, with Rovers, we'd still finish just 1 place behind anyway, so it won't really matter to us. I'm not a fan of that idea. I mean, I'm a bit of creature of habit, to be fair, anyway. And I think our playoff system, I think the EFL playoff system is fantastic as it is. I think in every league, Championship, League 1 and 2, when it gets to them playoffs. And I think, I like the semi-finals, 2 legs, and then your final. I think they should just leave it as it is. And I suppose you could argue, obviously, it's giving teams more of a chance. But, the gap between the Premier League and the Championship's getting wider and wider. If a team finishing 8th in the Championship does end up getting promoted to the Premier League, it's great for them in terms of the financial side of it. But I'm just not a fan myself. I think just leave it as it is.
Yeah, we'd be seeing them 8 months later, wouldn't we?
I quite like it. That idea. I think it's quite cool.
Do you?
Yeah, because you think Blackburn have missed out a couple of times on goal difference, I think if you're 12th, 13th going, with like 8 games to go, and you're and there's always some rogue team who hits form at the right time and just will just sneak in. I think it'd be quite exciting. Whether or not it would happen, like you said, you're more the traditionalist, but I think it would be different, and it could give a lot more teams hope and more to play for, perhaps going towards the end of the season. So I'm kind of all for it, really, and seeing. Imagine like someone like Millwall sneaking in and then but I think it's a good idea.
All right. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Of course, also let us know what you think about the Telegraph situation as well. Is everyone actually on Rovers' side here? I can't imagine that you would be, but let us know. Finally, this week then we're having a bit of fun on Where Uncle Jack Walks. So the next coming weeks we are having a look at the past, the good, the bad, and the historic for Blackburn Rovers, and we're asking if we had an encyclopedia and one page for each letter, looking back at the history of Blackburn Rovers, who or what or where would we place the letter A? Now, should we ban Sam Allardyce from this conversation? No one mentions it. As I mentioned before, AI came up with Keith Andrews' mark, which is not, I suppose, it's not a far off shout. But we're allowed stadiums, we're allowed, sponsors, anything beginning with the letter A and the surname, obviously, for a player. So, Mark.
I was having to go think about this, and obviously it's just showing Keith Andrews, obviously what AI threw up. He was the last person I would think of, to be honest, after seeing him in a Rovers shirt. I'm gonna go with somebody that it was even a little bit before my time, so I'm gonna go with a player. Probably some of our younger viewers may or may not have even heard of him, but I am actually going to go for Ozzy Ardiles. So I think a lot of people may forget that he did actually play for Rovers in the 80s. Obviously, quite an iconic figure within the game. Don't think we've had many players from Argentina play for us. So I think Ozzy would be Ardiles would be in there.
Right, Mark, I did not see that one coming. Tom.
Did you ask me? Sorry, mine.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Sorry. Well, I was really struggling to think about surnames. Are we allowed first names?
Well, no, that's going to make it complicated because we'll stick with the surnames.
Yeah, because Keith Andrews and Sam Allardyce were the only two I could really think of. We banned Big Sam, so Keith Andrews was a versatile midfield player who liked to pass the ball. He
can lose it.
The occasional eye for goal, and he's doing quite well in management now.
Right. We will have to wait.
I think
we're going to wait till next week till we get the others back. We'll put those three, Allardyce, Andrews, and Ardiles, to those three. Before we make our final decision on this. But you can help us out with this, because next week, of course, we're looking at the letter B. Now, we can't put Blackburn in there. That's gone, of course. So, who, manager, player, beginning with the letter B, would definitely take the encyclopedia page. So join us for a little bit of debate as well. Or it's a famous result, of course, as well. Right, you two, thank you very much. Enjoy the Swansea game, enjoy the Stoke game. We'll be back in 7 days' time to review both of those. Hopefully with 6 points on the table. Thank you very much for watching. Before you go, hit that subscribe button, because it'd be lovely to see triple figures on the subs count this week. Helps us out massively. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in 7 days.
Cheers, guys.